All right, everybody. Um, Welcome to this webinar. We're going to wait just a minute or two as people pour into the room here. Yeah, we shall see. We had almost 700 registrations for this webinar, which is great. So if there's really that many people who show up live, we will overspill onto YouTube live stream. We understand usually how these things go, that some people can't make the schedule. So we are recording this webinar and we will monitor all the questions and we will share the slides for it and the recording after. So nobody will miss, even if they can't attend right now. And we will also share these slides, as I said, with all of you after, so you don't have to necessarily take notes right now if you don't want to. Let me just wait just a little bit more here. I see the numbers are still going up. Rather quickly, actually. So, okay, those numbers are climbing actively. We're almost at 150 in the room. All right, we're a few minutes in. I think more people will come, but I think we should start because we only have 90 minutes and we're already into that. And we have a very wide subject to talk about. And so we'll get to as much of it as we can and we'll answer as many questions as we can. So welcome, everybody. My name is David Gould. I am the General Secretary of the IFOAM Seeds Platform. Thank you for attending this webinar, taking this time to talk about a subject which is very important. This coming Saturday, the 26th of April, is the International Day of Seeds. And so to time with that, we are having this webinar. We're doing it a few days early because we knew that a lot of people wouldn't want to work on their weekend. So we're here now as the Seeds platform, thanks to all of the work of our volunteers and our platform members, as well as to the Agroecology Fund, who has given us some grant money to really animate our program, as well as a little bit of donations from the Software Stiftung in Germany as well. I want to recognize them and everybody else for their help in making us lift this subject and make it be more alive. You're in for a good treat today. We have a very expert panel of people from around the world who are leaders in their particular sectors in the seed world. We wanted to actually have more people, but we have limited time. So we know that there are more experts out there. And we encourage you to connect with us and to be able to share with us your leadership and your ideas and exchange in the aftermath of this. The main purpose of this webinar is to raise awareness about the importance of this subject and to have us connect and to build more connections so that we can have some more concerted action on this subject. This is an existential issue, the availability of good seeds and good planting material. This is an existential issue for the world, for many of our communities, and for the sustainability of our food systems and our agricultural systems. So before I share a few slides myself, I want to already give you the call to action for this webinar, which is to connect. That is one of the main purposes. We are bringing people together here so that we know who each other are and that we can continue to build connections and alliances after the fact. Couple of basic housekeeping items is that if you have questions, put them in the Q&A box. We probably won't have the bandwidth right here to monitor the chat so much for those, and we will get to as many questions as we can after the presentations. And if not, if we don't get to your questions, then I will try to make sure that we can answer them in the aftermath, and we will just do that by email. So please stay with us, ask questions, don't be shy. And now let's start sharing our slides if we can. My good friends in the background at the IFOAM head office are going to do the engineering for us here. So let's go on to the next slide. I'm going to give, these are our speakers here. We have Daniel Wanjama from Seed Savers Kenya, Edwin Nuijten from the European Consortium of Organic Plant Breeding based in Europe, Laura Lewis, who is the Executive Director of the Organic Seed Alliance here in the United States, Nicolas Enjalbert, who is the CEO of SeedLinked, and also based in the United States, and Nurfitri Amir Muhammad from the Malaysian Food Security and Sovereignty Forum based in Malaysia. We'll hear from them all in turn. I'm going to say a few things to start, so let's go to the next slide. We're trying to bring seed sovereignty as soon as we can everywhere in the world. Let's go to the next slide, please. This is our main mission. At the IFOAM Seeds Platform, we are trying to work as a uniting force, and we have a very simple mission. We want more and better genetic resources created through compatible methods and technologies compatible with our principles, and to have them put in more farmers, more breeders' hands. We want to protect those seed sources from incursion, pollution by all kinds of genetic engineering and untested risky technologies. And those two parts are really geared toward our sector, but we also know that we operate in a world that is moving in maybe another direction. And so part of our work is to engage with that sector to bring some better rationality, better science, better sanity to the way they are progressing. So those are the three main pillars of our mission. Next slide, please. The way we work as a secretariat is we have a few main sort of pillars to our strategy. We try to build the network, which is what we're doing here right now. I'll just say there's a lot of information on my slides here. I'm going to go through them quickly because we don't have that much time, but they're there so that when you receive the slides after, you can read in depth. I think maybe some of my colleagues here have the same approach. So we're building a network. We are advocating for good enabling policy to allow us to operate and to protect our space. And we do that both with unifying international messages as well as through country-specific kinds of efforts to meet challenges, regulatory barriers or policy barriers there. We are also planning for the next generation of breeders and seed entrepreneurs and farmers through having a global research agenda and a learning and succession plan, which allows us to bring more people into our fold, into our work. And we're also trying to develop better market platforms so that we can have value chain interdependence and really pull on the chain to make sure that breeders and seed companies and farmers can actually make a living doing this vitally important work. It is a shared benefit that we all have from what they do, and we need to make it a shared responsibility. Next slide, please. As a secretariat, we're small. We just work catalytically through our vast network. And really what we are trying to do is we coordinate that network and we have focused working groups where we approach different kinds of tasks. And we are supported by the IFOAM Organics International head office, as well as our steering committee on the Seeds platform. Our goal really here is to make it so that we have useful outputs for our users, for our members, for our platform, for anybody who comes to the platform. I was hoping to show you our revamped website. It will be up soon. It has a digital directory where we can all connect. That will be up and live probably in a week or two. We do have our website, which has some very basic information, pretty easy to navigate. We also have a LinkedIn page where you can follow us, and we have an email listserv for the whole platform, as well as for our individual working groups. You can still join those if you're interested, and there's contacts in the successive slides. Next slide, please. This is just an extract of a poster that I made for a recent conference, and all of the little images you see there are position papers and outputs that we have had as well in the past that describe our position, our unifying messages. It's full of links and hyperlinks, so when you get these slides, you can click on them and dig a little deeper. Okay, next slide. That's all I'm going to say right now. I will monitor questions, and I really want to turn the floor over to our expert panelists so they can give you a sense of the landscape of issues that we're dealing with at different parts of the world. You'll see some context-specific challenges. You'll see some common threads running through all of them, and then we'll move into some discussion. So thank you for listening to me, and let's move on to our first speaker, and that I believe is Edwin Nuijten. And you're muted, Edwin. So let's just.
Yes, now you can hear me. Yeah, thank you, David, very much. So I'm going to briefly talk about what EcoPB does, the European Consortium for Organic Plant Breeding. And to face these challenges, we have developed a holistic concept. Next slide, please. And in order to be able to deal with this question, how to create space for seed sovereignty, at least that's how I understood your invitation, going back at what EcoPB has been doing, EcoPB has been founded in 2001. And in 2012, a position paper was written, and there the basic question is, what do we want? So there's a lot of things that, as organic breeding, we are against. For example, we do not want GMO. But then the other question is, but what do we want? And some of the things is to maintain reproducibility in a species-specific manner. Basically, it means that if we have F1 hybrids of cabbages, for example, there are modern technologies that make them 100% male sterile, and we say this is not compatible with organic farming. And this also means that if we are saying at least varieties need to be able to maintain their reproducibility, it also means that people, whether they are breeders or farmers, they can work with these seeds, and that they can do breeding or whatever they want to do with it themselves. And then also we are saying in order to stimulate farm-safe seeds, that open-pollinated varieties are very much suited to that. More information can be read in the position paper, and the IFOAM International Position Paper also is very important in that respect. Next slide, please. Then click a few more times. Yes, thank you. Then this gives you a perspective that some decades ago in Europe, you would be able to register varieties which are very uniform. And for the registration, they had to be distinct, uniform, and stability in their appearance. So that's where the DOS stands for. And about 10 years ago, an experiment was started with OHM, organic heterogeneous material. And this is basically the opposite side. It's composite cross populations with a lot of diversity. It could also be dynamic populations or farmer selections. But the idea is that with more diversity, you can create more stability and adaptability in the field. And this is very important. Then in between, there are other forms of varieties like conservation varieties, amateur varieties, and well-known fruit varieties that are also very important to maintain diversity and to maintain access to that diversity. And if you can click one more. The latest development is organic varieties. This is with the latest organic regulation. And this is kind of like an adjustment of the regular DOS varieties, which are very uniform. To say organic varieties, they also tend to be very uniform, but to see how to allow some diversity also. Next slide, please. And then click a few more times. Yeah. So then it means that over time, in terms of legislation, we have been able to create more space for other types of varieties that are free of GMO and NGTs, and also very important, free of patents. So this allows for the organic sector in Europe to have a wider choice of varieties available for organic. If you click a few more times, yes. This is a new discussion coming up, the VSCU, the sustainability, how that's going to play out for organic, we are not sure. It may have some positive aspects. Maybe also there are some negative aspects to it. This is a whole new discussion. And we are not sure yet what this is going to bring us, what the advantages and disadvantages will be. So there's, at legislative level, there's a continuous debate, dynamics, and we need to be sure that we create as much space for organic as possible. Next slide, please. And how does that translate into variety registration? This is a lot of information, and I'm not gonna explain that in detail. But below you can see conventional plant breeding. So it leads to conventional variety, standard US, and then also it means you have plant variety protection. And with organic plant breeding, we are looking for ways that you can also say, I don't need this plant variety protection. Then you can go to adapted evaluation of the DOS, the distinctness, uniformity, and stability of appearance. And then completely on top, you have the organic heterogeneous material. And there's no need for evaluation, but there's only that you need to notify, and there are all sorts of specific requirements on how to do that notification, but it's much easier than registering varieties. Next slide, please. Then for arable crops, we also have something called VCU. This is value for cultivation and use. And it's also important that this value for cultivation and use for organic takes place under organic conditions, because if you test varieties under conventional conditions, it may not always mean that this then is the best conditions for organic. Next slide, please. So the past decades, there's been a lot of developments going on, and we felt the need, we need to see, okay, where are we, and what, how can we have an overview of what the next decades, where are we going to? So a lot of positive developments have been going on the last decade, with thanks of all sorts of organizations, not only EcoPB, but there's IFOAM, Organoa, and many other organizations that have played a role in that, many researchers as well. And for sure, we need more varieties that are adapted to organic. Maintaining access to a broad genetic basis will become only more important with the threat of the GMOs and the NGTs being deregulated in Europe. And so we need even more diversified breeding strategies, and so that we can develop adapted varieties to a broad range of conditions. And on the one hand, we see opportunities. So when it comes to Europe, there's a growing interest in agroecology and organic farming, also the organic regulation. This is also very positive, as it allows organic heterogeneous material and organic varieties. Also, the phasing out of the non-organic untreated seeds. This is scheduled for 2036, so this will also mean a big push for organic seeds. And on the other hand, as you may all well know, there's a lot of threats, and particularly the new genomic techniques is how is that going to affect us all? We don't know. Also, the patents related to these NGTs, what effects it will have. So there's still a lot of work to do. Next slide, please. And this is the vision document in a nutshell. We need to develop more positive alternatives. And these positive alternatives, they do not only focus on breeding, but they need to include the agronomy, so the farming practices, the market dynamics, financing, and then also the nutritional quality. And it should not only be top down, but also it should be bottom up. So we need both scientific approaches, but also farmer-led initiatives. And we also need to look at what citizens, society, consumers, etc., what role they can do. And also there's the question, the value chain, what can their role be? You see the scheme below. I can explain that with the next slide. So you can see 4 types of breeding approaches: community, ecosystem, corporate, and trade-based breeding approaches. And what we've described in this paper, Lammerts van Buren et al., is that they all have advantages and disadvantages, and none of them can solve the future problems we are facing. At the moment, there's a lot of focus on corporate-based breeding and trade-based breeding. So with molecular markers, you can really go into depth into the genetics. And with the corporate-based breeding, there's a real dominance of big companies deciding how the market plays. But so we need to have more community-based breeding and ecosystem-based breeding to have more alternatives. And also what we describe here, you see these dotted lines, is that they can influence each other and balance each other, so that way it supports food and seed sovereignty, but also social justice and other aspects. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is then my almost last slide. And when I look at it, it has a lot of similarity with the working groups of IFOAM International, because the policy support, we need to create more space for organic breeding approaches. We need to deal with GMOs and NGTs, but then also we need the education. And not only at a university level, but we also need to see how farmers can have a role in breeding. My perspective is that everybody who wants to do breeding can do breeding. It should not only be specialists, but also anybody who wants to do breeding should be able to have a role in that. But then also it means we need to have all sorts of different breeding methods and tools to be able for everybody to have their own role in that. So there should be farmer-led initiatives, scientific breeding, and everything in between, and commercial breeding, and how to connect everything. Then the last point is the exploration of innovative financing, because we cannot finance the organic breeding basically based on seed sales. So we need to see how the value chain can be involved to be able to finance organic breeding. And yeah, that was my last point. Next slide. So thank you very much. And if there are any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, thank you, Edwin. That was great. We will get to questions at the end. I am answering some in the chat, in the question and answers now as we go, and I'm typing some answers, but I am saving some for group discussion after, and feel free also to go in there and answer some directly yourself if you want. Let's keep it moving though, and our next speaker is Amir.
Hello, everyone. So my Seed Reserve Initiative against UPOV 91 and seed law. Next slide, please. So this is an introduction into FKMM, Forum Kedaulatan Makanan Malaysia, or FKMM is a collaborative network of individuals from academic institutions, farmers groups, fishers, animal breeders, consumer group, and civil society to discuss and take actions regarding food sovereignty in Malaysia. So I myself is the secretary of Malaysian Paddy Farmers Solidarity Associations. I'm a paddy farmers and the coordinator of FKMM. So FKMM actually was formed as a response to the topic that we will discuss. When the government decides in 2018 to table the amendment of Malaysian PVP law to make it in line with UPOV 91, and also the proposed seed bill that will obligate anyone who want to process, share, and sell seeds to have a license and sending their seeds to the lab to be tested. Next slide, please. All right. Thankfully, as a result of our protests and advocacy, both the amendment and the bill have not yet be tabled in the parliament. But we believe our effort should not be stopped at advocacy and lobbying. But we should also include developments program and research to support our argument regarding farmers' right to seeds. Thus, the IRBK, Initiative Reserve Benih Community, or the Community Seed Reserve Initiative, was born. So IRBK is assisted by this organization as the secretariats and supported by many other individuals and organizations who are actively involved in program and discussion regarding plant seeds. So IRBK is a joint effort between agricultural NGOs and garden associates to encourage the traditional practice of saving, sharing, and selling seed freely and ethically. Next slide. So this is the problem statement for FKMM and IRBK. It is actually on farmers' rights regarding seeds. So I will not touch this much since I just got 10 minutes. So you can read it later if you want. So as I think, as you know, the ITPGRFA was adopted by the 31st session of the Conference of Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, on 2001 and entered force in 2004. And Article 9 provide that contracting parties recognize the enormous contribution that local and indigenous community and farmers in all regions of the world have made and will continue to make to the conservation and development of plant genetic resources. Next slide. So, as you can see here, in Article 9.2 and Article 9.3, especially on 9.3, clarifies that nothing in Article 9 shall be interpreted to limit any rights that farmers have to save, use, exchange, and sell farm-safe seeds or propagation material. So, beside ITPGRFA, farmers' rights are also mentioned in other international agreement and declarations such as CBD, UN DROP, UN DRIP, and CEDAW. Next slide. So what is seed system? So a seed system is a network of stakeholders involved in providing, managing, replacing, and distributing the seeds of a particular crops in a certain area. So formal seed system and informal seed system is actually interchange, like you see in this picture here. Next slide. So this is, what is formal and informal seed system. So formal seed system is mostly protected by PVP law and seed law and predominantly used in commercial agriculture, while the informal is predominantly used in local and small scale farming. It's locally adapted and is governed by local custom, tradition, and practices. Next slide. So this is UPOF convention. So I think most of people here already know what's UPOF. UPOF is actually International Union for the Protection is in Geneva. Next. So key feature of UPOF 1991 is actually its farmers' rights. The most important thing is that actually farmers' rights are very limited, especially in the right to save, use, sell, and exchange farm-safe seeds, propagating material or protected varieties. So if you don't know, in Southeast Asia, only Vietnam and Singapore is actually member of UPOF. But there is now, since a few years back, maybe 10 years back, there is a really strong lobby from UPOF Secretariat in the Department of Agriculture in each country in Southeast Asia. So they meet every month, they meet every year to discuss on how to actually change the national law of each country to be part of UPOF 1991. Next. So what is seed law? So as I mentioned before, seed law is one of our problems, one of the things that governments wanted to do. So seed law is a set of national law and regulation that govern the quality, production, certification, testing, labeling, distribution, and sale of seeds used in planting, primarily in agriculture. So in our context, in our case, the governments want to ensure the qualities and to ensure that the seeds that the farmers kept is free from diseases. That's what their argument is. So everyone, including individuals who want to process seeds, must have a license if the new law is actually tabled in the parliament. All right, next. So as you can see, if in Malaysian seed distribution structure, if this law is actually passed, the amendment and the proposed seeds quality bill passed in the parliament, we will have more concentrated seed system towards the formal seed system. Next. So while proponents argue IFOAM 91s and modern seeds laws stimulate breeding investment and provide quality assurance, but we must know that these two laws, the IFOAM 91 and seed law, actually pushing us towards privatizations, uniformity, and control of our heritage, diversity, and farmers' autonomy that underpin traditional seed system and agro biodiversity. All right, so let me tell you about our program, the IRBK, on the next slide. So the objective of this program, this initiative, is actually to formalize what they call as informal. So as I told you before, government has actually said that we cannot prove that how the informal system actually helping the countries. So what we do is actually we record stories of seed savers and inventory their seed collections. So it is new in Malaysia. So however, the activity saving, sharing and selling seeds by is very long time. It's not. It is they try to produce an official data to show and to prove that farmer seed system is actually not informal. It should be recognized by the governments. Next slide, please. So this is program. Next slide. So as you can see, one of our projects or program that we do is actually strengthening community seed system. Next. So this is the objective. I already told you the objectives actually to I mean the most important thing is actually to prove that the community seed system actually is not informal. Next slide. So so far we have documented 90 seed saver and 91 individuals in process. So documented mean we record their story. What are their story? And then we inventory, record all the variety of the seed that they collected. Malaysia is not a very big country, but I believe there are hundreds of seed savers. So we will continue to find them and document them, their stories and the seeds that they collected. And then with this network, they can actually exchange seeds and then create more seed banks in the ecosystem. So out of 19 documented seed saver, 59 are individual, 31 are organizations, 23 is in the urban area and 67 in rural or suburban areas. Next slide. So so far, all the data, we put it in the website here. So you can search it. I mean, when you type pisang or banana in the search box, so you can see how many variety of local banana are there in the collected by all our seed savers in this community. And then if we wanted to plant a certain variety of banana, for example, we can call them and then it can be propagated more. So far we have 2,519 inventory of plant collection with 8 categories of propagation materials and 9 categories of plant use and 8 category of plant. So we are in the middle of analyzing this database and we'll produce reports on it. And of course, we will use it in our engagement with the governments and the parliamentarians. Next slide. So this is an example of the collection of banana or pisang So we have this list of 12 seed savers. It's actually have save or collections of banana, and there are actually 19 local varieties of banana has been collected by these 13 people. Next slide. All right, so what's next? So we will continue to record and the story of seed saver and eventuate their seed collections, and then continue our advocacy to uphold farmers' rights and encouraging agroecological farming system in Malaysia. Thank you very much, David.
Thank you, Amir. That was a great contrast to Edwin's presentation as well. A lot of common threads, but maybe some different approaches, different circumstances on different sides of the globe, and that just shows our diversity, yet also some of the unity of our purpose. Let's keep going. I'm acutely aware of the time, and our next presenter is Daniel Wanjama from Seed Savers Kenya, and also from the Intercontinental Network of Organic Farmers Organizations. So Daniel, you're up.
Thank you. Thank you very much, David. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to present on our engagement with the farming communities here, and the work we are doing and the circumstances we are facing. My presentation is quite similar to Amir, but also different approaches. And next slide. Yeah, that is our slogan. Our slogan is "My seed, my food, my future." I believe in this connection between the future and our seed. Next. So what is the context? And this is not just context for Kenya. It's basically a lot of African countries having this situation. That the seeds that are used by farming communities is mostly farm seed, because around 80%. Some surveys shows more than this, but in average, it's 80% of the seeds that are used by farming communities coming from farmers themselves, with a lot of companies focusing on seeds that are commercially viable and ignoring so many seeds that farmers need. And the other thing that is also like a context to be considered in this discussion is that 80% of the farmers are small scale. I know, for instance, in Europe, global north, mostly farmers are large scale, but here they are small scale. To paint a picture, around 2 acres, 1 hectare, even less of land per farmer, and that means families farming mostly, and people feeding from that. And the other similar situation is that even if 80% of the seeds that are used by farmers are coming from farmers themselves, we have policies that don't recognize farmers' seeds, farmers' variety, or farmer seed system. Next. So some of the challenges that we face, and that is also what briefly I will mention how we are addressing them, is, for instance, it's illegal for farmers to share seeds, and of course it's based on a group of laws, which in our case in Kenya is Seed and Plant Varieties Act. It has a different name in different countries, and it's also the seed certification programs sideline organic seeds. That means if you have organic seeds, they cannot be certified. They cannot pass the certification standards. We have the laws, the same act facilitating biopiracy or situations where people who are interested in obtaining intellectual property rights on farmers' varieties being able to apply for ownership and being able to be protected to own farmers' varieties. And we also have research institutions that are public in nature, but not supporting farmers manage seed system, even if the system that of farmer seeds producing what the seeds are being used. So therefore, public research institutions focusing only on 20% of the seeds that are commercial and ignoring farmers' seeds. And there is also a very strong push for GMO, or the legal framework being available for GMO. And this also a big threat to food sovereignty and the contamination of local seed system. And also seeds not being easily accessible, especially for the commercial seeds, that is like 20%. Some of them, like for instance, vegetable seeds in the market, like about 95% of it coming from being imported. Therefore, if the commercial, if the farmer seed system is not going to be there, then most global south countries, or even let me say Africa at large, then it means they rely purely on seed imports. Next slide. So part of what we are doing in addressing the challenges is that there are now some actions around public litigation, pushing for farmers' rights in the sense of being able to access their own seeds, being able to own the seeds, and being able to share and exchange. And because there is some instrument like our constitution in Kenya that support that, and also international instruments like the Plant Treaty that most countries are also signatories, but you find contrary laws in the country. So we are trying to see whether that would also work in the sense that if there are inconsistencies between the international laws, the local constitution, and also the seed and plant varieties law and some regulations, then the regulations could be deemed unconstitutional and therefore provide immediate solution to the situation of farmers' rights. And this is a case that is ongoing. And the hearing is, I think, on 20th, and we hope it 20th May, and we hope that there will be some progress in that. It has been there for the last 3 years, but we hope there will be progress next hearing. Next slide. There is also a lot of court battles on GMO approval. Of course, I know several GMO varieties have been approved for use in Kenya, especially of maize. Kenya's staple food is maize, but now the fact that the GMO don't require any labeling, it means that if you grow GMO in Kenya and people are feeding on that, it means people have no opportunity to decide whether they want to have it or not, because it's not labeled. And one situation, there was the banning of the GMO in Kenya, but 15 years later, there's the lifting of the ban. So there is a court battle in the sense that there was no public participation in uplifting the ban, and also that is the requirement of our constitution, like there should be public participation in policy discussions, but also there was also no consideration on contamination of local materials, local maize for food, by GMO, so there is no requirement of protection of local varieties from protection. This is another case. This has been one by one side, another time by one side, and but now the ban stays because the hearing continues. Next. So other than engagement in public litigation, there is also engaging policymakers in the review of Seed and Plant Varieties Act, and also in the discussion of access and benefit sharing regulations, so that farmers' rights can be realized. It is like consultations where we talk to the authorities, to policymakers, and together we are able to draw a roadmap. In this respect, I think it is happening a lot in many different countries, and it's also a viable line for engagement to have better policies. And there is also a lot of activity that we do at the grassroots level to make sure that people at the grassroots level are able to participate effectively in public participation forums, in budget making, so that they are able to propose to the government that farmers can have a favorable environment for seeds, and also to save their own seeds to exchange, and also even to be supported in terms of accessing support for farming equipment and all that. However, a lot of support from government only come for fertilizer, such that subsidy for fertilizer is considered farmer support, which means for farmers who are doing agroecology, for farmers who are doing organic farming, then they are somehow sidelined by the system. Next slide. There is also a lot of public engagement that we do through the media, just to create an awareness on the value of conserving local varieties, the value of protecting farmers' rights, and also the connection between food sovereignty and food security, and just to make sure that the conversation on these issues can come to the mainstream to be discussed by everyone. Next slide. And apart from this, and this is why we are also here, also creating an awareness at international level, discussing and also being available at the spaces where the policies are being discussed at international treaty level, as we participate there as observers, and also at CBD, just to understand the conversation at the global level, so that we can see how do we strategize for activities at the local level, because there is connection and the policies trickle down from global level to the local level. Next slide. The other thing is that we are, because of restrictions of piracy, we are focused also on documentation and protection of traditional knowledge in seed preservation. So it's very interesting that most of the traditional technologies, even use of ash as as you see here in the pictures, we have found that, because we also do comparison between them and the conventional, the so-called modern technology. So we have tested and found even traditional technologies being more effective by just setting experiment to see what works better. So these things, traditional knowledge, and also applying for protection of this traditional knowledge, so that there is recognition of these communities as innovators of this traditional knowledge. And our law also somehow recognize that traditional knowledge and the cultural expression are part of intellectual property rights of the local people. Next slide. And the other thing that we also do, just to deter people from biopiracy, like we have documented some of the cases where people have come, or even seed company come, characterize some farmers' varieties and apply for ownership. They end up owning them. In some situations, there have been court cases around that. And for that, we are working together as community to document the most popular local varieties and make sure that if someone comes to apply to own them, we already have some records showing that these varieties are not new. There is not much that anyone has done on them to make them new and deserve obtaining intellectual property rights on them. And therefore, we have characterized some of the local farmers' varieties. We understand this is kind of a role that should be done by the public research institutions, but in the absence of their action, communities are also taking action. Next slide. And we also focused very much on capacity building. In the recent future, we are organizing a seed school, like sort of organizing the reverse way of doing capacity building. We understand that farmers who are saving seeds, selecting best varieties, and they have been doing this for centuries, for many years. They have knowledge that they need to share with the people who have conventional knowledge. And therefore, we're organizing a school where farmers are the ones who teach people who recognize themselves as experts. And interestingly, we get a lot of people who want to come and learn from the farmers. And we have realized that farmers have a lot of knowledge. Like on Monday, we shall start a new class for 2 weeks. And then in September, you shall have another class. And this is very interesting to see how much farmers' knowledge can be useful with the people who are also doing this, the work on seed. Next. Thank you very much. That is the end of my brief presentation.
Great, thank you, Daniel. Great examples to show how the masses can take action even when governments are not being so cooperative. And one thing I think that we need to realize in saving seeds is that we're looking for diversity. We're looking for more people to be involved. And especially if we think about in the context of fighting against multinational consolidation, that ultimately there are many more of us than there are of them, and we just need to get coordinated a little bit better. So thanks for sharing those examples. Time is marching on here. We're getting good questions in the Q&A, and we're answering as many of them as we can by typing, but keep them coming. Next speaker, Laura Jean Lewis from the United States, the Organic Seed Alliance. You're up, Laura.
Thank you so much, David, and thanks to all the other panelists for being here today. I'm going to talk a little bit about Organic Seed Alliance and some of the work that we do here in the United States and also with our global partners. Next slide. So why seeds matter, and I know this is, I'm preaching to the choir, as they say. All of you are familiar with the fact that seeds are the foundation of agriculture, and looking at control over seed is something that is problematic. We've already heard some of the speakers talk about some of the limitations that they have in terms of being able to save their own seed and having control over their seed systems, which leads to control over food systems, and the importance of biodiversity and climate resilience, and how that is impacted, or how we can use seed to address those concerns. Next slide. So who we are, the mission of the Organic Seed Alliance is really to put the power of seed into the hands of growers. We were founded in 2003 at the same time as the National Organic Program here in the United States. And our work promotes an abundant and diverse supply of organic seed, tended in perpetuity by skilled, diverse, and interconnected communities of seed stewards. So we have staff in a couple different regions across the United States. And like I said, we work nationally and then also with global partners. Next slide. So what we do, we really, our work is focused on 4 different areas. We do a lot of research, so we teach seed production classes, similar to what Daniel just talked about in Kenya. Our classes are a few months long. We're going to be having our next seed production class starting next month. And then we also do a lot of participatory plant breeding with farmers as well as public plant breeders in the United States and overseas that are working on organic plant breeding. We do education online as well. We do on-farm trainings. We do summits and conferences. So we do a lot of work to convene people to have conversations like we're having today. I forgot to mention that we also do a lot of trialing. So we look at a lot of new varieties as well as traditional varieties and how they perform under organic conditions. So we have 2 certified organic research farms, and then we also do a lot of that work in a participatory manner with other farmers across the United States. We do a lot of advocacy work. So we have a director of advocacy and policy who supports organic and farmer-centered seed systems. And most of our advocacy work is at the national level in the United States. And then we do a lot of outreach around seed stories, helping build seed networks. We send out our publications, and we also host a platform called the Organic Seed Commons, which I welcome all of you to join and participate in. It's free, and we have a lot of resources there and folks from really around the world who participate in different spaces within the Organic Seed Commons. Next slide. So some of the highlights of our work, we've had over 25 educational courses. You can see here Anna Galvis, she's in this picture here, she's our Assistant Director of Education. We've worked with over 5,000 farmers, and we have a lot of policy victories at the state and federal level. So we still have a lot to do, but we've definitely seen movement in the National Organic Program to strengthen their policies and rules around the use of organic seed. And then we just are national leaders in organic seed policy in the United States. So we're really the only nonprofit that is focused on organic seed systems here in the US. Next slide. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the state of organic seed in the United States. So this is an initiative that we have every 5 years. We update our research on organic seed usage. And so we're in the process right now of updating this data set. So our next publication will be out likely in early 2027. But we are only seeing a little over 30% of US organic growers consistently using organic seed. So our hope is that all organic growers would be using organic seed, but there are still loopholes in our National Organic Program rules that allow organic producers to use conventional seed. There's also, and because of this, we see widespread use of non-organic seed, and the enforcement of organic seed rules remains very weak in the United States, which is problematic. Next slide. So some of the challenges that we've identified is still the lack of availability of organic seed varieties. So as the market changes, we have different consumer demand. It can be very hard to get organic seed and certified organic seed into the hands of our organic growers. We also have insufficient quantity and trait diversity in some of the organic systems. And so really encouraging farmers and plant breeders to be able to do more work around organic seed systems. And we also have buyer and processor constraints around access to organic seed, and then inconsistent certifier enforcement. So many of our organic certifiers don't even ask if organic growers are using organic seed, or they don't enforce rules related to that. Next slide. So we have seen increased investment. So over the last 5-year period that we investigated organic seed systems here in the United States, we did see almost $40 million in new investment into organic plant breeding. So that was a positive trend. We are uncertain of what that will look like over the next several years, given our new administration. 40% of organic producers are interested in producing seed. So we have seen a decrease over time in organic producers saving seed and producing their own seed. So this is something that we would really like to continue to address and create opportunities to support organic farmers being able to produce their own seed. And we have seen regional seed systems and networks growing stronger, but we have seen a consistent decrease in the use of organic seed across the organic sector. Next slide. So some of the strategies around seed sovereignty, obviously strengthening organic seed sourcing policies, investing in farmer-led plant breeding, like we've heard some of the panelists already talk about. So ensuring that those systems are considered part of our toolkit in terms of maintaining agrobiodiversity and also addressing so many of the environmental challenges that we face through the use of farmer-led plant breeding, and also building robust education, training, and research infrastructure. So if we are going to reach the goal of 100% organic seed usage in organic systems, we need more organic seed producers, and that requires education programs, more training, as well as research infrastructure. So a lot of the work we do is even empowering organic growers to be able to do their own trials, run their own research. And I think one of the things that's so important also is convening and having opportunities for folks to have challenging conversations around attribution of seed, cultural stories and pathways of seed. So this is one of the things that we work very hard to achieve, and we do every 2 years within our Organic Seed Growers Conference, have these opportunities to convene and have conversations around the usage of seed. Next slide. And also looking at the work around resisting corporate control and the continued consolidation of seed and genetic resources by very few organizations or corporations. And so corporate consolidation continues to limit choice and increases dependence on a very few players across the seed industry or the seed community. Utility patents also restrict access to seed. We've already heard some of the panelists speak about that. And then looking at farmer seed rights, which must be upheld and expanded. And again, this is something that we've heard other speakers already talk about today, but this is something that we advocate for very strongly at the national level. Next slide. And then a call to action. So like I said, we do a lot of work in Washington, D.C. This is Kat McCluskey, who's one of our national directors. She's a national director of policy and advocacy. So we support policies that protect farmers' rights and access to seed. We fund organic seed research and education, and we also seek that funding. And then we also join regional seed networks and advocacy efforts across the United States. We encourage you to do the same. Next slide. And here's my contact information. And if you're interested in accessing our resources, you can go to seedalliance.org. We have lots of free publications and toolkits available for all of you to use who are interested in seed sovereignty, seed development, seed saving. There's a ton of resources. So I'm very thankful to be here today, and please reach out if you have more questions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Laura. Really nice presentation there, giving us another view from another part of the world, obviously where there's different challenges, different scales of operation, different kinds of people involved. So we have one more presentation. I think we're going to shift presenters here. Nico, you're going to share your own slides, I think.
Nicolas Enjalbert,
SeedLinked.
okay.
Go for
Can
it.
you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, David, for having me. It's such an honor to be here. and thanks for all those great discussion. Here, my talk, I will go more from a lens from an entrepreneur and how to try to resolve some of this challenge we hear today, like innovative financing, giving capacity to all those initiatives with tools to lower the cost of breeding and democratizing it, and also giving visibility to all those initiatives. And so I'm based in the US, I'm French. Originally, I work in large seed company and learn a lot from those. And I've been working on this SeedLinked platform for 7 years now on really how can digitalization help lower the barrier of breeding and bring visibility. And I just want to start really my talk really as an example of carrots. You know, you all have mediocre carrots, and it's a good example of industry where more than 95% of the carrot are produced in a few regions with few varieties. It's very homogeneous, but as you all know, and OSA have worked a lot on carrots, there's so much diversity and amazing flavor, but why it is not the norm. And I work in this industry and the inside of most of the large seed company, and there's amazing people in this company. They are great technology. They are doing amazing work to make variety of highly performant for homogeneous high input system for few region. And there's a reason, right? This need to be profitable. Their EBITDA and shareholder is what's matter, and they are profitable. And I've been in this company and many time working in different crop, and I could see many crop being terminated because their EBITDA or profit were not above 10, or having amazing locally adapted variety, but the constant word is having less and less variety to have more and more margin or more sale volume. And it makes sense from a business. And now being an entrepreneur, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But we want to move towards a more diverse system, right? And it's like, we're not going to put $3 million to develop a variety that have a market of a couple $1,000. And so really how, and the current industry is not fit and not structured to develop this type of small niche variety. And so we really need to a system change. And it's constant, I go constantly back and then I see all those independent breeder and they're amazing and dedication, but all the time struggling financially. And when I say independent breeder, I mean farmer breeder, non-profit organization, all those I put in the same bucket, and they're all limited resources program. And I think it's interesting to look at digitalization and how, like, step aside from all the controversy and problem of governance and finance and domination and so forth. But I like take the example of Airbnb and not talking about the structure again, but just the principle. Like if I wanted to be in the hotel industry before pre Airbnb, I probably needed like $100 million and build a hotel, and I am in. But now you can just put a room, right? And you don't need to invest and you can make a living. And digitalization transforms so many things, and why can't it transform seed in a positive way? And again, I really want to focus on positive and action-driven action here. And I just go back to those numbers here. One of my favorite farmer here on picture, but 97% of farmers are small, and you've reminded this today. It's 500 million people produce 70% of the food. You can add another 500 million gardeners. That's 1 billion people. Most of them are trialing and have so much knowledge. Yeah, why, if we could connect all this knowledge, what could be the power of that? And this is not new. You all aware of participatory plant breeding based on kind of this principle of collaboration, but you also have tested and do it and see all the challenge of sharing information, facilitation with pen and pencil and paper and communicate, and actually it's being very expensive and tricky. But I feel digitalization could really help remove those friction and really explode participatory plant breeding, but also adoption and visibility. And that was the base of the creation of SeedLinked in 2019, an idea that I have since 2012 and now is pretty developed. And in the last 7 years now, we've been working with Seed Bank, for example, with Seed Saver Exchange at a program to characterize germplasm at a fraction of the cost. We this year launched the first initiative with USDA and PHS Seed Bank to characterize their seeds. They have more than 600 variety, and most of them they're unknown, and we have thousands of people characterizing it. at a fraction of the cost. We have worked with independent breeder organization, and a lot of you maybe know Julie Dawson, amazing scientist in UW-Madison, working with independent breeder to develop tomato and pepper at 5 to 10 times cheaper using a platform and network of 100 of grower. And then, as you mentioned today, visibility or adoption is key, and how to connect all this data and visibility of those variety within the platform to search and find and buy the seed. So that's the foundation of SeedLinked. There's really 3 pillars to really drop cost of breeding. So R&D to collaboratively breeding, because it's collaborative. We need communication, so we have internal communication, feed, and also, you know, seed discussion is the #1 discussion within the growing community, and a search engine where all initiative and data is connected and open source and can be seen. And we work through the whole seed supply chain from germplasm with seed bank. We work with breeder to develop from F3 and onwards. We have an amazing project with OSA, and thanks OSA to include SeedLinked to work on seed production, as is a big challenge, on how to know more about seed production, which is part of the breeding, to not produce varieties that don't produce seed and cannot be commercialized, with dealer and with chef and consumer. And concretely, how does it work? Let's say you're any of your organization, let's say you have 30 line of pepper, you can invite directly in the platform a bunch of grower. And literally this year we've seen project in a few hours having 200 plus people signing up to receive the seed. You automatically land on their platform, they can review, share information, organization can see data, filter by region, stress, traits, and so forth. So you can all see the picture, information, and then we link all this to a search engine. I'm just going to quickly show if we have a tiny bit of time, if it's possible here. But like here I'm on live SeedLinked platform, and we integrated AI, for example, and I just asked a question here. Find me a cocktail variety that I adapted to Midwest, and give you a bunch of information. I can see that Jada was on the top. Tomatoes came out, and that was bred here in Middle West with Nature and Nurture. With AI, we were able to synthesize information from 55 grower who helped breed this tomato. We can look at strengths, weaknesses, and then we have AI-driven search where you can see who buy it, and you can see redirected directly to who distributes that seed. So that's kind of a practical demonstration on how digitalization could help. I know there's a lot of limitation of digitalization, and I think we're able to remove friction in collaboration, drop the cost of trialing, and boost visibility. And in the amount of time, we're not going to go on the economic aspect, but just to summarize, we're able to go as low as $4 a plot in terms of breeding or characterization of seed bank, and when most conventional can be up to 100 plus a plot. To date, SeedLinked has been used by more than 300 initiative with scientists with 4,000 grower worldwide. And like this is a map of user and grower to date. And it's actually, we're close to 1 million insights connecting the platform. It's available in 8 languages thanks to live seeding in Europe and European Union in 25 countries. The structure of SeedLinked and EdTech has been the foundation of this platform. It's collaborative as a tool. It's collaborative the way it's been built. It's collaborative in the way it's governed. It's a social enterprise B Corp. We, for the first time, opened ownership last October to a user, allow it to raise, again, demonstrating innovative way of funding as a contrast here between Uber or Stocksy, for example. We have a board that with diverse voice with Nature Conservancy and Student Seed Bank. We have obviously many challenge too as a startup and innovating in the space and adoption and new model and bugs, and also wanted to have one platform fit all, and this is a mistake of me, but wanted to promote diversity, and work in more than 60 crop with one tool is a big challenge to remain simple. And it's a platform that is not only for bean, for example, but it's for all crop. And it's all about failing fast, and reiteration is slow because obviously, growing season is 1 year at a time. So yeah, it's been a wild journey of entrepreneurship, but it's fascinating to work in this space. Thanks to all of you and so much energy. I want to remain very optimistic, and in this chaos constant of wanted to do system change, I love to in the moment when it's difficult to remain and finish my talk on 2 different quote I like. But if you want to make small change, change the way you do things. But if you want to make big change the way you see things, and definitely that's a constant exercise I'm trying with SeedLinked. And yeah, I'm convinced that all the forces in the world are not so powerful on ideas, that time has to come. And I think SeedLinked has definitely proven to be useful and used, and despite many different challenges, obviously, and thanks to all the people who help. And I think something that resonates here a lot with all of you in the talk is I think we're really building community, the power, we give power to community and to shape the future of food. And thanks all of you. Sorry, we're running out of time here. I'm trying to be quick. I know we wanted some question, but thank you.
Yeah. Great, Nico. Thank you very much. And we do still have a little bit of time. I mean, the questions have been coming in. We've answered about over 40 of them already. And there's a few more here in the question boxes, and maybe we'll get to some of those still. But I also want to give all of you panelists, and thank you so much for your presentations. I want to give you a moment here to feedback on anything that any of you have said, or if there's something you forgot to say that you want to say now, or to comment on each other's. I just open the floor for that right now.
Yeah, David, if I may speak, it occurs to me there's a lot of overlap between our stories. It's about what role farmers can play in saving seeds and seed sovereignty and maintaining diversity. And I see that in all our narratives or in all our presentations, this is something like a red line coming back again. Then there's the need for education, there's the need for policy advocacy. So I think we have a lot in common, and we need to see how we can strengthen each other.
Yeah, totally agree with that. And this is what we are doing actually with our working groups. We've just gotten those set up, and we will continue to publish on our website what we're doing with them. And I think in addition to sort of the globally common challenges that we have, we know that there are country-specific challenges, whether it has to do with laws or availability of seeds. And so in addition to those sort of global cross-cutting working groups, what we are hoping is that we will get stakeholders in any given country, or it could be in the EU specific, or it might be in Japan or India, Kenya, whatever country it is, to really work with those stakeholders to be able to use our tools that we're creating globally to figure out how their people on the ground can use them with their own sectors and with their own governments. One of the things that I think is very clear to me is that it takes a lot of us to make this happen. And so we need to, as you say, Edwin, figure out ways in which we can work together, share our experiences and our knowledge, and then take them into our own areas so that we can get more people doing this as well. Anybody else like to say something? I know, Nico, there's a couple of questions for you specifically in the question box. And I know that if you don't get to those now, we'll make sure that you can answer them directly after.
Yeah, please send me email at nico@seedlinked.com. I would love to connect. And sorry, it's hard to see all of them, but we are not using blockchain yet. I've seen one of those. We are definitely thinking of connecting with IoT. And yeah, please connect with me. I would love to chat and understand your need. And just one word of to conclude here. I really strongly believe sometime as a group in a community trying to change the seed system, we tend to focus too much on criticizing and negative. And I think as a group, I think there's so much opportunity, and I will highly encourage focusing on and being very positive and in the offense and not in the defense. And second, focus more on entrepreneurship and business. Sometimes we forget that at the end of the day, our system currently is based on exchange of value of money, and oftentimes we forget about this. And so, but thanks so much for having me.
Very good. I know we have only a few minutes left, and I do see some questions coming in. One I actually answered, but I want to speak to it in particular. It was a question about how can youth movements become more involved in these kinds of efforts. My first answer is you tell us, because I am a generation too old to know. I mean, it is vitally important that we create a space for the next generation. And so what we are really interested in is in being able to share the knowledge that we have and the lessons that we have learned. But if I speak for my generation, I can't say that I'm particularly proud of some of the things that we have caused in the world. And so we need new ways of thinking about things. And so we really are encouraging youth to plug in and share their ideas so that we can give some of our lessons learned and turn some of the decision-making power over to you. Yes, Edwin.
Maybe just to add to that, I think very important is also to feel a sense of urgency, and that you need to have a group of young people together to say, okay, we are going to do something, and then see how it develops. Because I think all of the initiatives that are being presented here also started with a number of people who had the sense of urgency, we need to do something. And then see how from there it goes.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I am looking at some other questions here, and they're probably actually a little bit too hard maybe for us to answer. I'm gonna pull one out right now. Julian Martins, he's a researcher in Belgium focusing on participatory plant breeding, interested in learning about alternative funding methods for breeding programs. Is there a way that any of you can say something about that, since obviously giving the financial resources for people to do this work is pretty important?
I think, yeah, it's something that I mentioned very briefly in my presentation. It's the big question is how to get the value chain involved in paying breeding. I know that Getreide Züchtung Peter Koens, Peter Koens is a breeder, a wheat breeder in Switzerland. He got the cooperative supermarket co-op involved in paying part of his breeding efforts. And yeah, then this is like an example of like, if now a supermarket would pay 1 promille of its profit to organic breeding, for example, that would already be a huge amount of money. And this is the line of thinking, like, how can we organize that? But also then all of a sudden you would have such amount of money. How are you going to distribute it to a range of organic breeders? The other way around would be to think, how can we develop cheaper breeding approaches? So there, the organic heterogeneous material could be a way of organizing breeding in a cheaper way.
Yeah, I think those are both really good ideas. And one of the things I think that we are really going to try and work on here at the Seeds platform is to get some interdependence across the chain, right? To make it so that there actually is reward for the people who are doing this work so that they can actually get enough money to do it. And as you said, using other approaches like with heterogeneous material is a good way to also try and approach that, at least in some cases. I know we're at time right now. Christiana, I know that I have to, there's one more slide we need to show here, I think. So if you want to put the slides up again, the final slide, my colleagues at the IFOAM International Head Office would want me to make sure that we advertise our next webinar that's part of the IFOAM Organics International webinar series. And do you have that? Let's.
Okay. I found this on the web.
Okay, and there we go. This is the next webinar. It's on May 15th, and it's talking about regulatory shifts and the trade challenges in North America. As you all know, that trade in the United States, North America affects everywhere, and so the political landscape, the regulatory landscape has changed a lot over the recent months. And so this webinar will give you some insight into that with some of our very key members. So thanks for letting me share that slide there, Christiana. We have a few questions that we're not going to get to right now. I do want to be respectful of everybody's time. And so I want to thank all of our panel for attending. Apologies again to the wide range of people, of experts in our network who did not get a space to present here, whether you're from China or India or the United States or anywhere else. We know that you exist, or Latin America, and we intend to include you in future opportunities. So thanks everybody for attending, and we will follow up with all the unanswered questions in the aftermath, as well as share with you the slides and the recording for this. And so with that, I would stay. I could probably do this all day, but I know that we all have other things in our life that we need to do here. So thanks everybody for attending. And I think we'll call the webinar to a close again. Thanks everybody one more time.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Best wishes to everyone.
Yep. You too. Good to see all of you. Thanks, David, again. Bye-bye.